Often at the beginning of when people start to have a kind of spiritual inquiry, they're drawn towards things like fairies and elves and pixies and movies like Lord of the Rings where the elfin thing and they're really into it, and talking about feelings like I went into a room and had a particular feeling to it. I had a very significant dream and it meant this thing, and that's all great. And that there's nothing wrong with that. The shocking thing is that it's all true, and I think if you really got that it's all true, it wouldn't be so sort of drawn to it, because if it's all true, all the other stuff's true as well. Demons, goblins, poltergeists, ghosts, all that kind of scary stuff, that's all true as well. Now, that's kind of a blanket statement. It's all true, but you can prove it pretty easily enough to yourself. The thing is, it's true, but it's not true in the way that it's portrayed in films or telly or that kind of thing. It's much more subtle than that. And to sort of see where it is and see where you can see it for yourself, you have to kind of pull existence apart a little bit, because where existence is great, like it's really fascinating, all this stuff is going on. As soon as you wake up, it's just on, full on, and it's on until you go to sleep, until you go to sleep at night. It's just one interesting thing after another. Even if the interesting thing is that you're having a boring life, that's interesting. You just have to watch. You just have to look at the popularity of reality TV to see how even boring stuff can be interesting. The drawback with how interesting that existence is that you can think that it's real, that's all there is to life is existence, and not notice everything that's going on inside you, because what's going on inside you is a lot more real than what's going on in existence or outside you. Now again, that might sound, you might go, what? Hang on, how can that be? So you can pull existence apart. You can sort of see the gaps in it pretty easily. There's a few. You can, like your face. You've never seen your own face. You can look in a mirror, but all you're looking at in a mirror is a reflection of something. But you've never seen your face the same way as you see other people's faces. All you're seeing in a mirror is a reflection. If you look at, the top of your nose, yeah, something's there, but you don't know. You can say, well, I can touch it. Look, sure, I can touch my face. Of course I've got a face. Well, can you? Well, when you think about touch, where do you feel touch? You feel touch. You don't, like if I'm touching the end of the bed here, if I touch that, where do I feel the end of the bed? I'm in a bedroom and I'm doing this, just if you're on audio, and there's a bedstead here. So I'm touching the bedstead. Now, where do I feel the bedstead? Do I feel the sensation in my fingers in the bedstead or in my fingers? Well, I feel it in my fingers. It's inside my fingers. Anytime I touch anything, I feel it inside my body. I don't feel it outside my body. It all goes on inside me. Same with hearing. I don't hear things in the distance, even though we say that. I hear it inside me. That's where I register it. Same with taste. Sure, I don't even know if I have a mouth, because I've never seen my mouth. I've never seen it. I've just got this general space that I shovel food into. Well, I don't shovel food in, but well, not all the time. And then there's taste there. But I look at other people and I make an assumption that, oh well, if that's the way it is for them, it must be for me. Same with the back. I can't see my back. I've never seen the back of my head. I'm not even sure if I have a head. Yeah, I mean, I can put my hand up to my head and I can feel my hair. But again, that's touch. You see, so it's kind of taking two senses and putting them together and add 2 and 2 and getting 5. Because it's like, oh well, if I touch it, then it's real. But you don't know that, and plus you're not touching it anywhere except inside you. So the only place you register things is inside you. Same with the other side of things. You can never see the other side of anything. If I'm standing in front of a tree and I go, well, I'm seeing this side of it and I want to see what the other side is, I go around the other side of the tree, but then I'm looking at this side of the tree and I still can't see the other side of the tree, and I can run around the tree as fast as I like. I'm never going to see the other side of that tree, and you're never going to see the other side of anything. Now, when you look out into existence like that, and you say, okay, well, it's just a very it could be a very well put together three-dimensional model, because if I move my head from side to side, everything moves, and as I, apparently go closer to something, as I'm walking, but you see, I don't even know I'm walking because I've got sensation, and it feels like I'm walking. But you know the things where you're on a treadmill, and you have there's a picture of somebody on a treadmill, and they've got this picture beside them going past, and it looks like they're going somewhere. They used to do that in the movies years ago. If they were doing a chase scene, they'd just have somebody sitting in a car pretending to be going somewhere, and apparently the scenery is going by, but it's just on a big screen. Excuse me, it's not real. So the same thing. Now, that's not to freak you out or go, oh my God, that's not real. No, it's not real, but it's what happens in it is real. The communication that happens, the feelings that you have, your experience, that's all real. Like what goes on inside you is real, but outside, who knows? Doesn't look, you can pull it apart pretty easily. Now, if you take it, then what's inside you is more real than what goes on outside you, and you can see how paranormal stuff, where that exists. Well, it doesn't exist out in existence, even though you get senses of it. For example, you can go into a room and you can have a feeling that something has happened. Now, you can, the one that's trotted out quite regularly is, if you go into a room where two people have had a fight, even though they're not fighting, you'll pick up on it. You can get a sense that something's gone on in the room. And that is true. And you could say, well, yeah, if the people are there, body language, if they're both sitting opposite each other and they look really pissed off, well, it doesn't take, to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that one out. But even if they're not in the room, you can get a sense of it, a sense of something's happened. Or, taking it on a bit, if you go into a place where something terrible happened, some kind of massacre or some awful thing happened, you can get a sense of that. Where you register that is inside, same as all your other senses are registered inside. So your body starts to feel like this glove puppet that you animate from the inside. And it's almost like a baking mold, that you come into from the back, because, as I say, you can't see your own back, and everything that happens is behind you. When you close your eyes, the shape of your body, if you let go of what shape your body is, your feet can feel like they're up around your eyes or down, or you can get a sense of how vast and flexible and not so fixed into your little receptors like your hands. We're very fixated on our hands because we touch most things with our hands. It's what we touch. So if you close your eyes and you put your hands on your thighs, for example, you can get this thing of like, well, what's touching what? You can sort of see that my hands touching my thighs, and my thighs, the feeling of my hands on my thighs. You can go back and forth with that line. So fairies, goblins, demons, elves, they all exist, but they exist out of existence, if you like. That's where you can walk into, like, I live in the country at the moment, a beautiful part of Ireland, very magic, kind of. You walk around and you can kind of get a sense of leprechauns and fairies, and it's not like I'm walking around and seeing fairies, playing like in some Hollywood or Disney kind of movie, but you can get a sense of them, and that's lovely and great. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's lovely to feel it. But in the same way, you can have, like all the horror movies that there are, particularly the ones to do with psychic phenomenon, like that all happens in the same place. And you could go, well, sure, if it doesn't happen in existence, well, what's the problem then, But then if you add that to what I was saying about everything inside you or out of existence is more real than what happens in existence, then you get to see how important it is, and it's more significant. Because like, if you think about the most terrified you've ever been in your life, from something happening, like you're in a car crash or something, some violent thing happened to you, or you were being chased, or I don't know, whatever. And then you compare that to a nightmare that you've had. I guarantee you, nightmares are more terrifying than existence. Anything that happens to you in existence is not going to be as frightening as what happens to you out of existence. And going to sleep and dreaming is a good demonstration of where everything is. Because if you think about when you're going to sleep, you lie in bed and you close your eyes, and so you're shutting down your senses. So you're going back out of existence a bit. So at first, when you shut, as you close your eyes, you start to tune out of your hearing. You're aware of the sounds if you're in the city, street sounds, cars and whatever, but they become more and more distant. You're lying down, so you don't have to think about your sensation. You're not tasting anything, and whatever smells are in the room are in the room. And you start to pull back from all that, and you're thinking about whatever you've thought about for the day, or whatever you're thinking about. And then as you drop down into what we call sleep, your thinking starts to become more exaggerated. So if you're thinking about a problem that you had in work, and there's somebody that's bothering you, and you're going over the conversation that you had that day, and if I had said this, if only I had said this, that would have been the thing to say. And that's the way it starts off. But then as you go down into dreaming, then suddenly, you develop superpowers, and you're sort of flying around the office, and you're sort of troweling through the walls, and then suddenly it's all a bit like crazy, but it's still you. It's still you in your life. And then you go down more and more into dreaming, and then you can have dreams where you know it's you, but you don't recognize yourself, and you're among people that you don't know. Like it's not, but you know them all, and they all know you, but you don't know who they are, if you know what I mean. Meaning, like, you could be in medieval times, for example, and you're with this woman who is looking at you like she's your wife, or you could be with this man who's looking at you like he's your husband, and you know he's your husband, but you don't know who you are, and you've got other people, but you're caught up in the whole story of it. And again, it can be very symbolic and strange and weird. What you're doing there is you're going back through all the different layers, and eventually you just pop out and there's nothing, just dreamless nothing. You don't register it at all. Now, what happens there, who knows? But we certainly come back from there, because when you think about it and you're waking up, it's pretty much the same thing. You start off with a very impersonal, vast kind of dreams, and then more personal, and then you wake up. But you probably will have had the experience where you wake up and you don't know who you are or where you are or anything, and you're looking at the ceiling or the wall or whatever, and you're going, there's a moment or two where you have to put yourself together. You have to go, oh yeah, my name is John, and that woman is my wife, and this is where I live, and this is my house, and so on. You put it all together. Where we go in that dreamless sleep thing, wherever we go, when we come back from it, we're refreshed. And some part of us knows that we need to go there because we get tired and we go, oh, I have to go to sleep. I have to go to that place. I have to go and get refreshed in whatever that is, that place, which is funny, when you think about how frightened we are of dying, because, we're basically, we run to bed every night wanting to become nothing, because that's, after the dreaming is done, you're just in that deep dreamless sleep. There's no you in the same way as that you know yourself to be. It's just nothing. I think what happens is a bit like in a restaurant, those doors where there's for the waiters, there's one door that you go in and another door that you come out. I think it's a bit like that. I don't know this, but my sense of it is that when you go into wherever you go into, you can remember you're still you and you function and do whatever you do. But when you come out the outdoor, you forget everything that happened. I think that's what happens, but I don't know. Because you forget every night when I wake up, or every morning when I woke up, I've forgotten. I remember the dreams. So, in the dreams, when frightening things happen to you in that layer, they are more terrifying, because all that stuff is more real. Because if you think of your body like a glove puppet, okay, what you come up through, what animates you, is, you know, the source of life, your life, so that as you withdraw from that, you come down into deeper layers, and that's where all that paranormal stuff exists. It's somewhere underneath the sort of dreaming kind of layer, if you like, the impersonal side of things. And if you know about that and you know how it works, then you don't take it so seriously, and you don't take it so it's not so amazing. It is amazing, but it's what I was saying about existence being really interesting, because where we go to when we sleep is what really refreshes us. Because if you spend the night dreaming, you're going to wake up tired, right? So unless you get that deep dreamless sleep and you come out of existence completely and you go to wherever we go to, let's just call it the mystery, if you go right into the mystery, or death, if you want to call it that as well. Don't know about if it is death or not, because I'm not dead, but wherever it is, that's the deepest, the most real. Let's call it that. It's the most real. Existence is the least real. So everything is kind of focusing on existence, is looking into existence, including all the stuff that you see in those kind of psychic paranormal layers. That's why if you channeled entities and all that kind of thing, they often will have really great things to say, really helpful things to say, but you have to take it with the grain of salt that they're looking the wrong way. And what are they doing, hovering around in the psychic world? Why don't they just die? Why don't they just go right all the way into existence? Okay, so there's fundamentally something off. Even the helpful ones, there's fundamentally something off within them if they're not just going back, because it's a bit like space junk. You know, we send up the satellite, and we've got a purpose to sending up the satellite, but then when the satellite's done, it just sort of stays up in space in this kind of mantle of space junk up above the Earth. It's a bit like that in the psychic layer. Okay, if there's a part of the person has died but didn't go fully into the mysteries, a bit left over, the very personal bit, or the bit that just couldn't let go of existence and really wanted to come back to existence and share some very useful insights, that's missing the point. You know, it's missing the point of, like, you know, following the process and surrendering and completely going right back into the mystery, and the mystery, like, just trusting the mystery is going to take care of everything, because it sort of has so far. So, you know, and it doesn't need your specific help. So when you know, with channeled entities, and if you will open yourself and say, oh yes, come on, channeled entities, speak through me, there's a queue. I guarantee you there's a queue of entities who want to speak through you. They'll be only too delighted to have something to say. And even better, they get to interact with existence, okay? Because the thing is, they're not in existence anymore. So any bit of, so they can't do anything in existence, okay? Like, I've heard stories about poltergeists that, you know, move things on walls. I have no experience of that myself. I've never seen that, so I don't know, okay? I can't really speak about that. But I've had lots of psychic experiences, and I've had lots of entities and all sorts of things visit me, and they always come in the night because it's dark. They sort of, everything, existence gets a bit thinner in the dark. The curtain, if you like, gets a bit thinner in the dark, so it's easier for things to kind of come through. And like, somewhere we all kind of know that, you know, and we're turning on the lights. And yes, turning on the lights works. So, you know, if you wake up and you feel like there's something in your room, well, turn on the light. You know, it won't. It'll make it harder. Okay. And the other thing, main thing to remember about all this paranormal stuff and psychic is it can't actually harm you. I've never had any experience of it harming me, and I've treated lots of people who've had stuff, paranormal activity happen to them, and it's the same thing. It can't hurt you, it can't do anything, but it can drive you insane, and it can cause you to harm yourself. And I talk about this in my book May and Noise, you know, where I was suicidal, and I nearly did. And you know, you have to be responsible for your life. Of course, I'm not, you know, blaming the nasty entities, but there was definitely a psychic element to that experience, and you know, that's on a very extreme case, obviously, but it can, in the same way as, you know, that's why meditation is really important, so that you can begin to separate out what's you and what's some other influence. Because if you think about meditation is consciously dropping into the mystery, but as you're dropping into the mystery, you're going down through all these layers inside yourself, and as you do that, you know, you're passing through. It's like passing through a rough neighborhood. You're susceptible to being waylaid by apparently very helpful entities. Now, that's not to say there isn't helpful entities, because you've pretty much got it all in that kind of psychic, paranormal world. You do have all the fairies and the elves and all that. And if you feel them, if you experience them, that's brilliant. But I would strongly encourage you not to invite them at all. Because it's like you open the door, and when you open the door, you get the lot. You can't discern. It's not a filtered door. If you say, "Oh, come on, and all my, you know, spirit guides and all the angels who are there to help me, come on, help me," or come into my life, blah, blah, blah. Well, you've opened the door, and you're going to get everything else as well, you know. And I've seen this in my own experience, and when I was training in training craniosacral therapists, with the same thing. And I had like rows with people about this, and where they'd say, "Oh no, I'm every session, I open up to my guides and to my all the positive forces, and you know, and I keep them out." And it never works. Every time they've come back and said, "Oh, I've been having, you know, terrible dreams. I've been having violent dreams. I woke up and I felt like I was choking, and I was thrown across the room." And I don't know whether they were thrown across the room. They told me they were thrown across the room. I don't know whether they threw themselves across the room or not. But either way, they were having some very, very negative, very unpleasant things happening to them, and it came from this thing of, like, you know, inviting it all in. So the thing is, it's a paradoxical thing of where, like, on the one hand, you acknowledge that it all exists, and you go, yes, it's all true, that is all true, but I am just, you know, it's not in existence, and I'm in existence, I'm alive, and I am in existence. So yeah, that's what I'm going to focus on. And if I get a sense of something, that's fine. And if I don't, that's fine as well. I'm not going to go looking for it, you know, because they're not part of existence in the same way as everything else is. So knowing they exist helps you when you're, you know, you can walk into a building, or you can be in a certain place, and you can just have a very bad feeling. Instead of giving yourself a hard time about that, you'll just walk out, because in the same way, if you know it's there and it doesn't feel very good to you, then, you know, don't give yourself a hard time about it. Don't pretend it's not there. Take yourself out of harm's way, because, as I say, it's not going to harm you. Nothing's going to, you know, do anything to you, but it can cause you, like, huge disturbances on the inside. I remember we went on a skiing trip one year, and the chalet that we were staying in, I don't know what had happened. I don't think it was in the chalet. I think it was on the ground that the chalet was built. I think it was a pretty new building. But I don't know how long we were there for. 7 days, something like that. And it was really difficult. Every night you had these crazy, horrible dreams, and, you know, I was really moody and really grumpy, and, you know, just not myself at all. Now, if I hadn't known, even knowing about it made it, you know, I mean, I wasn't going to stick somebody else in the room, but knowing about it made it a bit easier, but not, you know, not much. And that's happened a few times in different places, you know. But if, you know, it doesn't matter what happens and what you see, if you wake up in the middle of the night and something is there, if you consciously go into the mystery yourself, it won't be able to go with you, because it's all those psychic things are facing the wrong way. They're all looking into existence. And if you know about going into the mystery and going right down into the mystery, and you meditate and you've worked on that so that you become familiar with that. That I found is a very powerful way of dealing with it. So it's all good. The fairies and the elves and all the good things are all true, so that's nice. And so if you're somewhere and you get a sense of them, that's nice. But as I say, don't go looking for it. Don't go looking for it generally, because it will bite you in the arse badly. So you can check everything that I'm saying in your own experience about sensations, about existence, and about the difference between what's you and what's not you. Because all the whisperings in your head, that will be, you want to be, that's the thing. That's the point of one of the points of meditation, is being able to separate out what's you and what's being whispered to you and encouraged to you. Because if you think about it, if you're not in existence, but you're fascinated with existence, then and you're a kind of a base, kind of elemental kind of thing, it'll be great fun to get some other person to do something at your insistence, because you've nothing to lose. You're not going to have any of the consequences. You just move on to the next person. So being able to get a sense of what's you and what's not you is very helpful in dealing with all this stuff. So yeah, it's a frightening kind of subject. The darker side of it is a frightening kind of subject. But again, if you know about the deeper side of it and the mystery, and being able to go into the mystery consciously, that will help you a lot. Okay, so leave a review if you like the podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. I discovered that it's really hard to leave a review on a mobile device. Somebody asked me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, just all you do is you do this, and I was like there for 10 minutes, couldn't figure out how to do it at all. Maybe it is possible, but I certainly couldn't figure out how to do it on an iPhone. So yeah, and I was wrong. You can't leave reviews for each episode. You can only just leave a general review. But all the reviews make a difference. It has come up in the rankings. So thanks to everyone who left reviews, and do the star thing. That seems to make a big difference as well. And until the next time.